LSU are going to lose defensive line coach Jamar Kane. And not only to, some other rival team or whatever, it's to Sean Payton, former New Orleans Saints head coach, his new project with the Denver Broncos. He is going to be hiring Jamar Kane as a pass rushing specialist. I've been told LSU have been bracing for this for the last few weeks. In fact, there was actually also, to kind of back that up, a subscriber to LSUODYSSEY.COM, a personal friend of ours, Nurse Court, who said she heard whispers of an assistant coach on staff leaving the program. So this comes as a shock to me. I did not know anything about this. I was not on the end on this, I guess. But this does come as some big news for LSU, because losing Jamar Kane affects you on the field because of what he does for not only defensive line, but how he can also affect the entire front, often helping linebackers have big-time seasons as well because of what he does with his defensive linemen. But it also really could potentially, if LSU don't get, fill his loss with the right hire, it could potentially hurt LSU on the recruiting trail tenfold. Not avenge sevenfold, but tenfold. It could be bad with that. We could lose some defensive line commits that just have far ingrained close relationships with Jamar Kane, and nothing else will do. The disappointment settles in. They want to go elsewhere. That will probably occur with at least a few guys, a few Tigers, at least a few commits from the 2023 class, 2024 potentially, and then potentially Tigers on roster going elsewhere. I haven't heard anything of that imminently, but we'll see. By the time this is posted, 2 or 3 guys could be gone, and it would be shocking, because this is just the nature of how fast things move in college football nowadays. I mean, this is Jamar Kane's 4th gig since November 2021. He was at Oklahoma in November 2021, leaves to go to USC. It's about 3 weeks later, in December 2021, then goes to LSU. He's there at LSU for 1 season. Great season. Does fantastic. But he sees a lot of the guys that he brought in from the class decommit, at least a few of them. Joshua Mickens of the world, players like that. And so, he built some really talented projects here at LSU in such a short time, with Deshaun Womack coming in. Jaquelin Roy had a really good season under him, even through injury. B.J. Ojolari had his best season as an LSU Tiger. You're going to see the rise of Quincy Wiggins potentially, and who knows how much Cain had to do with his development or commitment to LSU. I think more the program had more to do with Quincy committing than just Jamar Kane. But for me, it's sad, because you wanted to see Jamar Kane continue as defensive line coach. Obviously, he was tailor-made for the role, fit for the role here at LSU. He was doing great at defensive line, and seemed to really be doing fantastic on the recruiting trail as well. Seemed to really go out. Anyone. He could get anyone on campus for a visit. Anyone. 5-star David Stone, all these random guys that maybe LSU didn't have a chance at getting. He would get them on campus and put LSU in the hat. And LSU would always be in their top 5s, top 3s, or they would come here. Everyone thought Quincy Wiggins would just go to Alabama. Everyone thought Quincy Wiggins would be a saga. he was wrapped up quick thanks to Jamar Kane. I mean, in my opinion. Who knows in the grand scheme of things, or what Quincy Wiggins believes. I would love to talk to Quincy about that. In fact, we are putting in plans for a lot of these type of opportunities, hopefully, in the next few weeks. But it's a tough day for LSU losing Jamar Kane. I think it's a bad thing to have happen to your program, is to lose talented, expert guys like Jamar Kane. But the fact that you had them to begin with shows that your program is worth coaching at. And you're going to see assistants leave. You're going to see some of these guys leave because they're just too damn good to be kept down in certain roles. In the NFL, my God, is that a promotion? That's a definitive promotion. And Sean Payton, as much as he hates LSU, he loves to cherry pick LSU's coaches, players, whoever. He loves to have the connections with LSU to steal from LSU, to steal from the Saints, even, like, going back. It's kind of interesting. It's Sean Petty Payton, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of strange. But from what I've heard, this is something that Sean Payton. This is a hallmark of Sean Payton's behavior. So I wouldn't know, as someone who I know a lot about Sean Payton, but I'm not like a inside source on Payton, so to speak. So I'll just defer to people who are. But just from what I've heard, Sean Payton can be petty. So I guess here we are seeing a great example of it. Coming and poaching Jamar Kane from LSU at really a poor time. The timing is so bad. The timing is so bad for the team and the program, I believe, because you're in spring now. I just right on the cusp of getting into the middle of spring here, into the crunch time where spring really matters, getting close to the spring game. You're going to have a lot of recruits coming here on campus, a lot of big defensive line targets in the 2024 class, that the possibilities were endless with Jamar Kane. You felt like LSU could get anybody with Jamar Kane. It felt like his national reach, his national footprint was that established from Oklahoma that really he could get anybody. His time at Arizona State was also very fruitful for how he was able to establish roots within the high school community, recruiting wise. And so that's what it's all about. Is can LSU replace Jamar Kane with someone who can at least be average on field, but then a great recruiter? Or are LSU going to really spend as much money as they possibly can, really, really make sure they go and get the best defensive line coach possible on the recruiting trail, on the field? That's what I'm wondering. Is obviously Brian Kelly's going to want to sign the best guy. I'm not really saying that. What I'm asking is Brian Kelly willing to really risk throwing a lot of money, a lot of resources for this program, a budget, at a defensive line coach when there could be some more guys possibly leaving? Is there money enough in the strength from the collective for LSU to sign a top-of-the-line defensive line coach for top dollar? Here's the thing. I don't think it will have to be. I'm going to answer my own question. I don't think it's going to have to take LSU to spend that much money to get someone to come coach defensive line at LSU. I mean, the defensive line job at LSU, you can't get a more sexier sounding job in college football. It's like coaching corner, DB, safety at LSU. The type of caliber of athlete you can recruit, and the type of athlete and caliber of player that's already there. So you know what you're going to get, and you know what's going to be expected from you to give. The standard of excellence is high and has been proven to be high. LSU have won 3 national championships, one each from the last 3 coaches for a freaking reason. Defensive line coaches, it doesn't matter who has been there. It doesn't matter how many different D-line coaches there's been. LSU have continued to have top-tier defensive linemen get drafted year in, year out for a reason. It's because defense at LSU is valued more than it is at other schools. The star plays, the star players, the playmakers on defense are cherished just as much, sometimes even more, than the guys on offense amongst LSU fans. And that's why coming in here, D-line coach, you've got a lot to work with at LSU. You've got a lot of people pulling in the same direction, and coming in to coach and develop a guy like Deshaun Womack, coming in to coach and develop a guy like Quincy Wiggins. It's crazy. Getting the best out of Jacoby and Guillory. There's tiers of depth here at LSU defensive line. Jackson Howard, NFL bloodliner, could be an absolute freak. I understand LSU lost B.J. Ojulari. Ollie Gay. I feel like LSU still have a hungry and deep defensive line here in 2023. The question is, who's going to coach them? An opportunity to coach Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo as a tandem. My God. What we're seeing right now in spring practices, the first teams are probably going to be the third string lineups come fall. That's how potentially deep this defensive line could be. So if you're a defensive line coach out there in the SEC, within the Power 5/2, whatever you can call it now, I guess, the LSU job, yeah, that's easy. That's easy. That's a no-brainer. There's something sacred about the defensive line coaching job at LSU.